Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about one of my very favorite people. His name is Douglas Vogt, and he's written a number of books. He's kind of a jack of all trades type of guy that's done amazing things, and he was a hero to me. I am committed to carry on his work. He was a brave man, and I hope that I can share some about him along the way. As a matter of fact, he died at the end of last year, right before we were going to do an interview. So there's some people in our lives that leave footprints on our hearts, and we're never the same. Doug is that guy to me. The book we're going to talk about today is called The Theory of Multidimensional Reality. Doug and his friend, his partner really, and friend, Gary Saltan, in actually 1973, started talking about the universe and who are we? Why are we here? Who made us? And who made him, the creator? And they began to look at life from a new perspective, something different, an informational system of reality. And when they began to see the world, the universe, through that new lens, as though the universe is information, is a representation of information. When they began to see through that lens, things came together, things that had never been reconciled before. Aha! And that's the basis of this work. In actuality, I have been reading this for several years, and I have to admit that it's not easy. It's not easy to understand. Doug said that to get this, you had to be a genius. Well, he was a brainiac. And I've had to struggle to learn this. I've had to reach out to learn physics and to learn science and to learn so many new things. But I seem to get the big picture for whatever reason. I don't know why. I think one of the reasons is that I am such an ADD poster child. I've got the credentials to prove it. And because of my concentration in so many fields, so many disciplines at once, that's allowed me to understand this. Because I've always been everywhere and nowhere. I'm looking at fossils and rocks, or I'm planting mushrooms and trying to figure out how mushrooms are under the universe, or I'm asking questions about the Bible that no one can give me answers for. I am just intensely curious. I was made that way. And then to top it all off, my ancestry are the people we're reading about. That gives it an extra dimension for me. So talk about dimensions. What does multi-dimensional mean? What's a dimension? Well, you know what a dimension is. It's length, so that's one, right? Times width, well, length. Length times width, right? And then there's depth, making something 3D or three-dimensional. And then 4 is time. No one knows about time. It's just a measurement. It's a dimension, just like length, width, depth. Everything is in movement constantly. Everything's waves of energy. Everything, everywhere. Even hard stuff. Even like this mouse is an energy of its own sort. It was an idea. It carries energy, memory. It's difficult to understand. And some of the brainiacs of the world are perplexed about magnetism, mass, energy, time. So, we might as well join the club and be curious with them. Who knows? Maybe someone that's been in left field or the sheep shed might be the person that gets woken up and has the answers to some of the things we've been needing. How many brainiacs are hidden in the sheep shed? That's one of the reasons I'm determined to share truth. I never went looking to prove the Bible wrong. I never went looking to find out anything I did. I just wanted truth. I just wanted to understand what was happening around me that made no sense. I can get off topic. This, particularly in 1973, was the only informational theory of existence. And it's very interesting. Let's see where... one thing I wanted to make sure to share was that, I'm going to read it, Doug dedicated each of his books. This one I found interesting. I had to think hard about who I would give the most credit to my ability to prove this information theory of existence. I came up with the following scientists: Dr. Thomas Gold, Dr. Bart J. Bach, and the hundreds of other astronomers, astrophysicists, mathematicians who worked tirelessly, late nights, trying to measure distances, locations, and outputs of the stars in our galaxy for their great work in producing catalogs of the stars and trying to make sense of this great mystery they see in the heavens. Without their work, I would have had a much harder time trying to prove the theory of multidimensional reality. Doug. This is a pure philosophy of science book, says he. Doug was a Jewish man, steeped in Jewish religion, wisdom, knowledge, and well understood the background of his own people. At the same time, he was curious and had so many questions and researched so many things. And in the end, he said he spent 48 years in research. And he gave up some really rich times with his family to do this. So in the beginning, before he starts with chapter 1, he says, "Let no one be slow to seek wisdom." I'll start over. Let no one be slow to seek wisdom when he is young, nor weary in the search of it when he has grown old. For no age is too early or too late for the benefits of philosophy. Epicurus, in his letter to Menexenus. Menexenus. I think I said that right. Okay, how do we understand the universe? We understand it the way we understand what we can see usually. Wouldn't you say that was true? How do you understand anything? Well, we begin to understand based on our senses, first of all, right? What we can see with our eyes and touch with our hands and hear, and the more dimensional, the more information, right? So in the old movies, you could see black and white, flat surfaces, and then we got 3D in color, and so we began to see more dimensionally. So there are ways that we look at things. What if you couldn't see on your own, but you needed glasses or lens, that your lens you could put on, and you got this one pair of glasses and put them on, and you could see the world through that lens. Whatever you see on the other side of that lens, you're seeing through the lens. So the lens is either coloring or sorting or shaping or manipulating the information that you're taking in. We all have lenses, and our lenses are based on how we grew up, what we've been taught, what we see, feel, touch, hear, what we think, how we process what we've seen, our memories. So there's a lot that goes into our perception of the information that we're given. There have been lots of philosophers, and there are lots of philosophies, but there are basically some main ones that have derived or survived from all ancient literature. One is an Aristotle type way of looking at things, and it's logical. It pertains to all life, all understanding. On the other hand, let's look at Plato. And Plato believed that everything was an idea first and then matter. Right? So Aristotle believes that this is a book. This is everything about the book. That's it, right there. You see it, you feel it, you touch it. That's the book, right? Plato, on the other hand, says the book is more than what you see. The book is carried in people's minds. The book is implemented in people's lives. The book is more than the matter. Go with me. I'm working to try and think this through myself as I talk to you rather than use an old analogy. Covey said, and he got this from ancient literature, that all things are created twice. That you can't behave unless you first think the behavior. We can't create something that we haven't thought first. So there are two creations, not four, two creations. The first is in the mind or the idea, and the second is in the matter. Is that so? Or are the creation and matter one? You think, therefore you are. Does that mean I think this book and it is? I can think it and it is, but you can't see it unless you're multidimensional, unless you're bigger than big, deeper than deep, wider than wide, longer than long. Know what I mean? So it has to be two. It has to be the thought and the product. It has to be the seed and the plant. When the Greeks and Romans were putting the Bible together, they had one thing in mind. What do most rulers have in mind relative to providing for the masses? Think about this. If you were the ruler and there were lots of people and they were all fighting and all arguing, what would you need, want? How would you benefit from what you did? Well, the Greeks were brilliant. Some of the deepest, greatest thinkers ever. And they concocted a plan. And Constantine didn't care about ruling. He just wanted to do what he wanted. And so he turned everything over to this papacy, the popes that he created. And so the papacy began to rule Rome, and the Bible was created with the help of the Piso family, who actually created this Jesus. And the reason that it was important for them to establish the philosophy or lens that the world would look through was important. They needed for the masses to believe certain concepts, like that they were unworthy, to turn the other cheek, that they were sheep that needed a savior. And if they're focused on making the savior happy, they're not going to be much trouble to the Romans. It all makes sense when you look at it, particularly when you begin to look at it as if it were today. Think about the leaders of today, if you've done any study at all, right? You get the picture. So, where are we here? As far as Plato, and I've got a lot written down here, and I just really wanted to talk it out myself. Let's talk about what a philosophy is.